Welcome to AEC Stories. This is former SM3 Dempsey of the USS Mount Hood podcast. And this is the weekend. Well, it was supposed to be Friday, but had a little technical difficulties. I have a new host to help me out this week. We're doing it Friday evening. We could be at a nightclub. We could be bowling. We could be doing all kinds of things.
Right.
Right. It's me and Jay Ortega of the USS Mount Hood. He worked in weapons division. We have yet to release your podcast because I had so many, in a row. But hey, we get to pre-sell your podcast to the listeners. They get to get excited. They get to know you, and they want to hear what your story is.
Oh, cool, cool.
So you get like a long one. I think it's 2 hours.
Oh, okay. If that's what it was, I was so tired after the last one.
That was a marathon. I think we get a medal for that one.
I was literally drained after
that. We were just talking about Wolfman Jack, and maybe I would do this whole podcast in his voice if that brought me more listeners, but I'd be a little strained at the end. And for those of you who don't know who he is, you live in the internet age, and we're not picking on you, but you'll have to look it up and Google it. Very big in our culture when we were young kids in the 70s and 80s. Very popular DJ from California. Part of the movie American Graffiti. I don't know. I listened to him when I was stationed overseas as a military brat on Southern European Broadcast Network. We had like one radio station.
Wow.
Then, this is Wolfman Jack, 1945. It's a strain.
Oh, gosh. He did have a unique voice. I mean,
he did. I think part of that movie, this is like some of the stuff that intrigued me about California was everything cool. Oh, Wolfman Jack's out there, surfing's out there,
Oh yeah.
Beautiful girls on roller skates. I must go. I think that movie, when you look back at it, anyone who's seen the movie American Graffiti, you'll have to look way back to find it. But it's a great American classic, and I think they started Happy Days off of it. But really, that movie, people watched it just to see who Wolfman Jack was because they never knew what he looked like because his voice was so crazy. They wanted to know what he looked like.
Oh, right.
He hid his identity. But it was a weird sidestep there. But today, I just want to talk to you about, and I'll ask you because it's easy. What was it like living on the USS Mount Hood? How would you describe it in detail? How you felt, how you thought, what did things look like? Because we weren't looking down at our phone every 15 seconds. We were not going online.
No Facebook.
Nothing.
No
we
Twitter.
We got letters and we had a telephone, and it was expensive to call long distance sometimes. So we didn't always abuse that telephone.
People actually learned how to write letters back then.
Yeah. Isn't that crazy? I wrote a lot of letters back then. I read a lot of books back then. I'd attribute a lot of my education to a lot of the reading I did in the Navy.
Right.
Do you still read books or no?
Oh, I do read books. Although my kids tend to think that, I'm a bit old fashioned, to read books instead of, downloading the book off iTunes or going to Barnes and Noble or downloading something off of their website.
Yeah.
But, I still love to read books.
Well, and unlike the feel, when you're out at sea, you get movies. We have I think we get a little early release on some of the movies that are coming out in theaters. I mean, it was kind of like HBO gets them later than, let's say, Netflix or whatever, the video store. We used to have video stores back then. Remember that?
Oh, yeah. Well, I remember the Betamax, and then I guess when they tried to, they made movies that looked like big old albums that you put in the machine. It only had one button, but I definitely remember those times.
Yeah, it was a trip. I mean, I don't know, cable TV. You were lucky to go to friends who had all the channels because it was an extra expense.
Oh, yeah.
And HBO, Showtime, Cinemax was a big deal when I was a kid. I'd come back to the States. Being a military brat, I'd live overseas, and we'd come back every 2 years, and I'd see what was new. And the thing that I missed was American commercials, of all things.
Oh, really? Wow.
Yeah. What a horrible thing. I wanted to get the newest toy, like the new $6 million man or whatever. You know, G.I. Joe sets like G.I. Joe's new powered superbike now by Mattel. You know, it's that kind of thing.
I was always into Evel Knievel toys.
I love those too. That motorcycle?
Oh, yes.
Mm-hmm.
And then I think I even went as far as to I can't remember who got me when he tried to jump the Grand Canyon in that rocket.
Oh, yeah. Was that Snake River Canyon or something?
Right.
And he was going to jump it on the rocket bike, but it was really just a rocket.
Of course, you know, Knievel's chances weren't so great. I mean, even with the toy, you know, the toy broke easily. So I'm like, if the toy can break, I can just imagine what the rocket would do.
That guy was a showman. You know, part of American culture of the 70s. I mean, he would, I'm going to jump this 8 swimming pools full of sharks. And, you know, well, for me, where I grew up as an Army brat, I got some of the latest and greatest because we had people, just like when we're in the Navy, from all 50 states. And you'd hear some of the newer music. Some guy might bring a new cassette or a new album. You know, we had records back then. You know, maybe an 8-track. So back in those days, people would bring stuff and it was cool to have that, but we didn't have the latest movies. We were about a year behind on new releases.
Wow.
And then VHS came out and then we were only like 6-7 months behind.
right.
That's how it works. So we were like excited. So people would have their relatives, in the States, you know, doing reel to reel. Actually, they'd go, hey, record this for me. They'd get the hookup. They'd have a family member and they'd record VHS tapes 6 hours at a time, as many as they could on the 24-hour just run of Cinemax or whatever.
Oh, yeah.
So we would just like whatever we got, it was random. And we liked anything because I worked at the TV station on the Army base and we had, they didn't want American commercials. So it was all pro Army commercials, like be all you can be.
Oh,
and, you know, stay sober and, you know, loot your captain or whatever. It's just all this propaganda.
Dreadful.
We didn't even have that on the ship, man. I mean, the Army, they were even more, you know, they were just solid on that. But then we would get some stuff from the States and we'd have to edit it. We'd have to take out all the commercials. That was my job. I'd have to have these 2 huge, 3/4 inch decks and I'd have to cut out any commercials.
Wow.
And, you know, I was like, cool, I'll see the commercials, but we never had any shows with good commercials, really.
Wow.
You know, so then finally, I know this is a rant. This is supposed to be talking about the ship, but this all leads back to the ship because this is my world before I get to the Mount Hood and then do a podcast 30 years later.
Right.
You know what I mean? It's like, this is where it all came from. So close to senior year, I think like maybe my junior year, we got CNN, 24 hours news. We had a satellite dish the size of a basketball court. And it would get that channel sent from the States, but it didn't have any commercials. Wow. It was just news. And I was like, damn it. Once again, I've been ripped off, but we did get a Burger King that year.
Oh, wow.
I know this sounds silly, but just imagine you're on an island and it's been de-Americanized. It's called Italy, right? And, you know, I mean, Germany, the Army bases in Germany, they would have Burger King and McDonald's. And you'd like tell your friend, hey man, I'll give you $10, bring me back a Big Mac, put it in a freezer, man, put it in the cooler, you know, and then your friend comes through, dude, I got you 2 Big Macs. It's in the cooler. We're like, wow. Oh yeah, but it's like a 2-3 day old hamburger. Wow. You're excited to get it, dude.
Wow.
And then we find out what's in it all these years later. Like, please bring the poison. Bring the poison to me.
Oh, man. Once you find out what nuggets are actually made of, I mean, makes you want to change your mind about eating it.
Oh God. You know, I don't know what was in the Navy food. It was unlabeled, unbranded food. It was just food in a box from food. There was no brand. There was no Nabisco. There was no name to it.
Well, I think they lost count how many times the mess cooks actually served the same freaking meal for mid-rats.
Oh yeah, mid-rats was what? Grilled cheese and chili mac usually?
Well, sometimes they would, I know when I was mess cooking, we'd serve the same mid-rat meals like 3 days in a row till someone bitched about it, and we were forced to put out something different.
Yeah. Like, we want something new. What do you want to make? I don't know. What do we have on mid-rats? Like hot dogs and pizza kind of stuff? I don't know.
Oh, leftover sliders sometimes I recall was a big thing.
Yeah. I mean, I didn't even know what mid-rats were until we got underway. And, you know, I was like, what? There's food at midnight? And then you understood it's just to keep everybody fueled up. I was like, why are they giving this extra meal? They don't give it to us in port. I could use mid-rats when I come out from a night on the town.
Because if you made it to the mess decks around midnight and you're in port and you're like, oh, what the fuck? Did I miss something? I mean,
that would have been the hookup right there for all the drinking. Have 2 a.m. mid-rats. Everybody's getting back on the ship. Last call. Oh yeah. Would have made a perfect lifestyle right there.
Oh, I'm telling you.
They didn't want to feed the beast.
Right.
So, I mean, I grew up over there. You grew up in a little town in Texas. What was there to do where you grew up? What was life like there?
Oh crap! Growing up, either some person in your family would be working on a farm, so they put you to work doing farm work, or if you could do some mow yards in town. If you could find the work. If not, there was seasonal summer work. Go chop cotton out in the cotton fields.
It's hard work.
Well, I mean, we didn't have a choice. Well, my grandmother, since my grandmother raised me, she wouldn't give me a choice. Either you get up or her form of discipline was a nice firm belt. So I didn't have a choice. I got tired of getting hit, so I went to work.
Wow. So it was after all that kind of hard, intensive work there. How hard was the work in the Navy comparatively?
Oh gosh, I think what I get out of the serving in the Navy is the firm belief of nothing is going to stop me from achieving whatever goal I have set in front of me.
Yeah.
No matter what obstacles or setbacks I go through, it's always okay. You've had a setback or you've fallen on your butt. Get your butt up, dust yourself off, and move the hell forward.
You get the mind over matter from the military.
Yeah.
Pretty much. There's no excuses. Get it done.
Yeah. And of course, what I always remember from being in weapons, I would always ask, well, how do you want this done? And of course, one thing that was always reiterated to me was, Ortega, I don't give a damn how it's done. Do the damn job.
Yeah.
Get it done. And then when you're done and and it's over with, give me a call, give somebody in a position of authority and tell them that you're done with the damn job.
Yeah.
And move on. And and to me, I like to think I'm a meat and potatoes guy. Give me a task, I'll do it. Don't complicate it by giving me too many things on how to do something. Get me to do it, I'll do it for you. Yeah. And when I'm done, boom.
So it was like a lot of details were left out. It was just general commanding speak. Get it done. I got 42 buckets of paint. Get it up to the flight deck. How am I going to do that? You figure it out. Get it done. And I need it done in 15 minutes. You're like, can I carry 42 5-gallon buckets of paint in 15 minutes? I don't know. I'm about to find out. There's some new learning to do here in the military.
But,
never been that task exactly. I'm exaggerating.
I guess also, you also, it's a stern reality check, coming from a small town, you're so, I hate to say the word naive to a lot of things, but you are.
Yeah. And
when you get onto the boat, you don't know what really hazing or bullying is. I mean, coming from my point of view, I was just like, damn, what the hell did I do to this so-and-so? I'm always getting my ass, rode hard. And then I would, talk to some of the guys in my division, and they were just like, dude, you're the new guy. Every new guy gets hazed. And I'm just like, well, this shit ain't right. And of course, I didn't see the big picture of it, but I do now. And it's a way to get acclimated, to the guys in your unit or your division.
Yeah.
It's not necessarily that they hate you, but of course, you're not going to get along with everybody.
Well, that's the hard man's Navy. That's the way it was then. I mean, it's changed a lot since then, a lot. But
Yes.
no, you were definitely met with, if you had an attitude, you thought the boot camp ended once you left boot camp because, in the movies, it's after the drill instructor. He's the strictest guy you'll ever meet. And, then you'll go on to your career and things should soften up. But actually in the Navy, heck, the company commander, drill instructor was really not that intense compared to what you were about to face on your ship. Though, had you get stationed at shore duty or something else, you're not kind of locked into the same big steel compartment with a bunch of alphas. It kind of like shore duty is chill. You're a lot of shore duty, not all of it, but most of it is pretty chill. I mean, I wouldn't say that being a CB is chill. Those guys work their ass off, on the land and building stuff. It's, they're hard chargers, but if you get stationed somewhere like a hospital or something, there's a certain hospital etiquette as opposed to a ship etiquette, right?
Right.
That's so you get on a ship that's got a big job and you get to load and move and get things done. Yeah. You're going to have guys that are a little bit like, geez, I wish I'd get that shore duty job. Now I have to bust my ass, right?
Right.
Is that kind of how you saw it?
It's, gosh, it's like being put into a new family, and the whole, dynamic of the people that you're working with. You got your hard chargers, your individuals like to, they do certain things certain ways.
They're procrastinators, lackadaisical, as we like to use that word in the Navy.
And you're quote unquote, oh, he's a hard charger. He likes to bust balls, or just it takes a while. I mean, and it was a big culture shock for me at first, and then I was totally unprepared. And
where did you meet the ship?
Of course, when I first got my orders from apprenticeship training, of course I went home 2 weeks to go home, and then I went back. Then, oh gosh, for some reason they told me that my ship was at Concord.
So did you meet it at Concord? Oh, you didn't meet it there, right? You went there and it wasn't there.
To tell you the truth, I mean, it boggles me, but somehow I made it over there to Concord, and I think either I got a duty driver from somewhere, but anyway, they took me to Concord, and then the guys at the gate were saying, "Yeah, you're you don't have orders to the Mount Hood. You got orders to the Mauna Kea or some bull."
I don't mean to stop you, but you kind of got to leave something for your next podcast. You mentioned this story. Sorry, you're going to have to tune in for that one. He did a little preview. But walking to the ship, this is what I'm trying to ask you.
Yeah.
Walking to the ship, when you get to the Mount Hood, they have to figure out the mystery because they have to listen to your podcast to get the whole story. Did you walk down that long, long pier to that big gray ship? Was it a cold day?
Well, actually,
or a hot day?
When I met up to the ship, it was on Pier 38.
Oh, so you showed up, you went to Concord, and the ship wasn't there, and you ended up in Pier 38.
Yes.
So what was it like driving into San Francisco? What did you think as a young man, if you could recollect? Seeing this big city coming from a small town, looking for a boat.
Well, you get, I mean, I've never been in a town that size, or excuse me, a big city like that. So all I ever had to go by was what I seen in Clint Eastwood movies, or
Clint Eastwood.
The show Streets of San Francisco with Michael Douglas.
Yeah, so you thought there's criminals running around everywhere, possibly, right?
Right. So I'm just like, I'm dumbfounded. I'm just like, oh my gosh, what the hell did I get myself into? And when I finally get up to where the hood was at, and I was just like, I'd never seen something that damn big.
Right.
And I was like, good Lord, what the hell did I get myself into? And as I'm walking up, what do you call it, the gangplank?
Yeah.
Onto the quarterdeck, well, lo and behold, someone fell overboard.
Oh, that's right. You were telling me there was a guy who was on the side painting and he fell in the water, huh?
Right.
You think it might have been Hanson.
I'm thinking it was Hanson, but I could be wrong. But his name seems to come to mind a lot.
Well, Hanson was an action hero on the ship, and one day I'll have to interview him. He did told me he would do it. He had probably one of the most colorful military experiences. He was often under my care when I was master at arms. So yeah, I know about him.
But like I said, it was just, oh gosh, my head was spinning that whole first day.
So BB, I mean, like, did you is there criminals here? Who do I serve? Who do I report to? I mean, well, where's my bed? How am I going to find it? I hope this just works out. Do I just put my head down and grind forward and everyone will tell me what to do, or I'll figure it out? I mean, what was going through your head?
Exactly my exact same thoughts. And of course they told me, well, you're going to be in deck. And of course, I recall a few people chuckling. Oh hell, we got another decade. Well, they took. I forgot who took me down to deck berthing. They showed me my bunk.
Yep.
And I think one or two guys, a Hispanic guy and a black man. They both met me with open arms. I mean, they greeted me, hey brother, my name's so and so, and I forget their names, but they both greeted me. I mean, it made me feel at ease. I mean, they took me, showed me my bunk, and this is what happens. You got. I forgot who told me I had the whole weekend off. So they were like, "Well, what are you going to do your first day in San Francisco?" I said, "Well, hell, I thought I'd grab a beer, But their faces lit up. Man, we know we know all kinds of places for us to drink beer at. We'll take you."
Cool.
But that was my first day and first night.
Do you remember where you went out to drink beer out there?
Oh, brother, I couldn't even tell you.
Was it in the city, or you went to
It was in the city.
Kroll's?
It was in the city. It was in the city.
There was Kroll's Bar or Toll's Bar. I forget what it was named, but a lot of guys used to go there. That was like the low down, dirty Navy bar. There's Little Italy. I used to drink there because I was 19, but I could speak Italian, so I'd convince them I had a passport I left in the hotel. And I played the Italian guy that didn't have an American ID card game. Often got me beer, more times than not.
Well, I seem to remember all the times that I'd go to San Francisco, I'd always go to the Mission District, and they never carded anybody there.
The Mission District is where the wild things are. I mean, that's just everything from criminals, drug dealers, homeless people, prostitutes, pimps, you name it. Every kind of colorful character in the circus of life likes to hang out in Mission.
But I would go there. The food was great. Not that many of the guys off the boat would go with me to the Mission District, but I told them, I never had a problem, getting carded over there. I'd get me a meal. I'd sit down and have some beer.
I probably walked into some of the worst areas possible. I mean, you weren't 21 when you get on the ship, were you?
Oh, no. I was 18, I believe. 18?
Yeah, see, the drinking age was 21 back then, but we would figure out the bars that would cater to us because it's a big city, and some places are more lax than not, and some places are like Cop City, super square.
Well, I know on the base in Oakland, the little convenience store or little exchange, whatever that we had, you could buy beer there.
The Naval Supply Center?
Yes.
I didn't know there was an exchange. Was it by the main gate entry, or was it over by that little, or are you talking about that little miniature EM club at the far corner of the base?
No, oh gosh, I can't remember. It was about a block and a half away from where we were usually tied up there in Oakland. Mm. And it was a good walking distance, maybe.
Everything was.
a half a mile to a mile, but it was like a little small, I guess medium-sized convenience store, but you could buy alcohol there.
I did not know this. I never, I mean, I only remember going off the base, and off the base, it didn't matter. You'd be on East 13th, Esther's Orbit Room. I mean, yeah, we're talking some wild stuff.
I remember the Orbit Room, all right.
That was like something out of a Clint Eastwood movie. But, you know, I mean, it was crazy. I hung out there with a couple guys I mess cook with, we're drinking pints. Nobody's carding anybody. Cops look at us. They're like, we ain't even messing with you. They could have locked us all. They're like, you're crazy enough to be down here. Good luck, buddy. They just drive by, you know?
It was in Oakland where somebody from the division introduced me to something called liquid crack, Cisco.
Oh, Cisco, yeah. Yeah, you know, there's some guys that, you know, that was a popular thing to do because our checks never lasted. I mean, partying was the number one thing because you'd be so stressed out from that workload. I think that we would go to a nightclub. We would do silly things like drink in an alley, Brass Monkey, Cisco, whatever, trying to get a pre-buzz before you go in to the nightclub where the drinks were expensive relatively. I mean, I don't know what they were then. They were probably $4 or $5, which seemed like a lot of money back then. But, you know, I don't know.
Well, we had a thing in Weps where the guys would say, of course, you know, they called me Taco. They would always say, Taco, you know, we're going to go to the laundromat. Well, hell, I didn't know that going to the laundromat didn't actually mean you were actually going to do laundry.
Oh, you're talking about the laundromat in Concord? That was the famous drinking one.
Okay, where
the ship's van went, the ship's duty van used to drop everybody out for laundry.
Okay, yes.
That had a liquor store next to it and a pizza place?
Yeah, I believe so, yes.
That's the one.
And I made the mistake of actually taking my damn laundry. And
oh God.
They looked at me like, what are you doing? And I said, I'm going to do my laundry. And everybody started laughing. No, we're not doing any laundry. We came to drink. And I said, oh, hell.
Yeah, party with your underwear in a bag, bro. Yeah.
but when we were in Oakland, you know, of course, I got hip to the game. They were saying, well, we're gonna go to Martha's Orbit Room because I believe
Esther's Orbit Room.
there was a convenience store right next to I think a laundromat or a chicken place, I believe.
Okay.
And of course, I don't think the lady at the liquor store she didn't come across too many Hispanics because when I walked into the liquor store, she would say like. She was, boy, do you know where you're at? and of course, I'd look at her and say, well, yes, ma'am. I'm in a liquor store. And I guess I sounded too country for her because she was, son, we don't get too many of your kind in this store. She was, you sure you ain't lost? I said, no, ma'am. She said, well, what do you want to drink? And I said, I want a 40. She looked at me. She started laughing. She was, son, I don't think you drink malt liquor.
Oh God!
And I told her, well, don't, but don't tell anybody. But I wanted to be cool. Like
I'm willing to learn. I mean
right?
That's the thing. You try the most exotic, cheapest alcohol you could possibly get. Everything from malt liquor to box of wine, or remember those party ball kegs, those like Miller party ball kegs or whatever they were, Budweiser party balls.
Were they plastic?
Yeah, they were plastic. It was a keg. It came in a box with the ball inside.
Yes.
I remember my buddy, and I ain't mentioning his name, but you know who you are, but you're happily married, well-to-do person now. Anyways, I remember he was drinking on the BART, and he had one of those party balls in his laundry bag. And he had the tap coming out of it, and he was just drinking from the tap. Boom, shooting them right, just shaking the beer. And he was trying to hit on some girl, and he was so blazed from the alcohol. And back when this is in the late 80s, like I think we didn't have very good pickup lines or any interesting conversation. But I think all we would ever think of how to meet a girl was ask him to dance. So he's looking at this girl and he thinks he's got the look and he's like, hey, you want to dance? And she's like, what? What the hell?
That's crazy.
Yeah, I was like thinking, yeah, he was on when he thought he was at the nightclub. But, aside from the drinking, though, the culture was very unique. I mean, I remember arriving here, 1988, San Francisco. I went to Concord first. I stayed in the Holiday Inn for a couple nights. And then I went to the base and they said, your ship's not here. And I think I got a ride to Pier 38 in San Francisco. I ran into a guy that was a shipmate there, another radio man. I don't know what he was doing out there. Maybe he had his wife and him were living out there or something. But I go to the ship. It's in dry dock. I'm looking at the big city. I'm like, thinking just like you, Clint Eastwood movies. Who knows what kind of chaos is out here? It's San Francisco. I don't know what's going to happen. Anything could happen. This could be exciting. This could be bad, whatever. So I show up at the ship and my chief's not around that day. And find out I had Chief Hill. So I get on the ship. I'm thinking life is cool. And I get put in, I think I had a couple of days before I had to report to the signal bridge. I had still a couple of days of leave, but I was sleeping on my berthing. Sleeping on the, actually we were staying at a floating barge, which is like the hotel on the water because the ship was being torn up. And, I remember looking out at the city going, this is amazing. And then I met some guy, American Indian guy named Shirley, OS2 Shirley. And he took me around the city and I would do things like, hey, let me, he knew where I could drink. So he took me to all these exotic bars and I really get to see the city. I'm like, this is crazy. And it was a little bit after that I met with some of my friends that became my friends for life.
Right.
And, what are you doing there?
I'm sorry. I'm adjusting some paper.
The paper's being adjusted. Okay.
Yes, sir.
That's all good. Right. But I don't know. I just remember seeing the double decker freeways. This is before the earthquake and everything crashed.
Right.
And, I don't know. It was exciting. I get to go to some of the nightclubs. I went to Little Italy. I get in the cab and I asked the cab driver, where are the chicks at? And he goes, this is San Francisco. There's a man shortage here. I go, oh, how interesting. I know what he meant. You know what I mean? And, maybe he couldn't find enough guys that he liked. I don't know what he meant by that. But anyways, he took me over to, Little Italy. I started talking Italian. I met some people. I went out to some nightclub with the guy that worked at the restaurant. We went to DV8's. It was something straight out of a Prince video. I mean, it was like a Sheila E. Prince video concoction, 3 different dance floors, exotic lights, exotic, wild, crazy, sexy disco people flying around the room. I'm blazed. I'm wearing my Varnays. I have my Varnay sunglasses that I saved up to buy. They were like real expensive, so everything was yellow, a yellow haze. And I'm like, wow. And I didn't even have an ID card. I talked my way past the security. I played the European dude. They let me in and, I was just insisting, just talking to him.
He was like, sure, go on in.
And I was there at DV8. I'm like, this is amazing. I'm living in the scene. I mean, this is everything I watched on television. And, it was really cool. But then, life changed around. I went up to the signal bridge. They put me to work and, they were like, just chuckling like, this isn't even the work yet, buddy. You're going to really be working. You're going to be carrying, 50-pound paint containers 2 at a time up like, I worked on the signal bridge. That was like, I don't know, what was that? 10 decks, 8 decks up from the paint locker.
Way the hell up there.
Well, it was probably like 7, but still, that's a lot of different flights of stairs. And that's the one thing we hated, like, cause I was mess cooking not too long after that, they put me mess cooking.
Oh gosh, that's a whole totally, an endeavor there that's greatly unappreciated.
Right. The only good thing about mess cooking was the liberty. You didn't have duty days.
Well, since I was given the opportunity to work in the officers' mess, which, of course, me being the type of person I am, I think I was the only person to ever get fired from the officers' mess. Because I forget the MS1 short guy with glasses. I forget MS1 something, but this guy, oh gosh, he flaunted the fact that he was a captain's boy, that he could piss on literally on somebody and not get in trouble for it. But anyway, this cat, I don't know, he rubbed me the wrong way, and he had another guy, individual mess cooking with me. Well, me and him, we had a difference of opinion to where I started a fight in the officers' mess.
Yeah.
So he instead of fighting me like I would hope he would, he went and he talked to a few people, and then I kindly got fired and demoted back to the enlisted mess.
Yeah, it was that was another thing you learned about as a young man, dealing with authority. You're like, really? I really have to listen to this guy? What's he going to do to me? And yeah, then you'd get even more work and more duty. And then you quickly learned what a Liberty card was and how they had you figured out before you showed up. Because you thought, I'll just skate through the day and not do my job good enough. And they're like, you can get in your Liberty card till you paint those 3 bulkheads over there, those 3 walls.
Well, my first day of day duty, I believe someone threw me a hammer and so they'll here start chipping painting, and I was like, I don't know what the hell he could have. I thought he was speaking a foreign language. Chip what?
Yeah, you're like, wait. Why are we chipping paint? Wasn't that confusing? Like, you saw all this janitorial work we had to do. We had inspections of the berthing. You were either detailed to inspection crew of the berthing. You had to clean up, strip the wax, the floors, make sure there was no high dust, make sure that all the racks, the beds were tight, that there was no debris, there was no, foreign objects, that everything, the toilets were clean, just had to be immaculate. The captain would come do inspection. You were either detailed to that part of the crew, or you were detailed to the working party. You were out there painting, shipping paint, or, maybe doing cleaning something else for inspection, or you were sent to do preventative maintenance, which means you'd have to go and you'd take this little card and follow all the steps. Like, you'd have to lubricate and test a firefighting nozzle or something, or you'd have to go to a fan room and we would have air filters. You'd have to take out this huge steel air filter, scrub the air filter, clean the air filter, put it back in, put the, what was that stuff? Silicone. So it fits right. We had all these different things to do. Make sure all the emergency lights had batteries. They were charged. I mean, it was endless tasks. And you thought probably, I'm going to be a gunner's mate. That means I just get to hang out and shoot guns. And, and I thought, well, I'm going to be a signalman. I'm going to wave flags and I'm going to do Morse code and take cigarette breaks,
Then reality hits you in the face and you're just like, wait a minute.
Right.
It's just, because I know after 3 days of chipping and painting, I was so damn pissed. I was like, man, what the hell did I get myself? I thought I was going to be doing, something more interesting than just chipping and painting. What the hell am I going to write home about?
You weren't too proud of yourself. You were being humbled. You were being put in your place real quick.
Oh, I mean, of course, hindsight being what it was, I didn't see the big picture, but I sure was glad when I got the call. Do you still want to fucking chip and paint? And I forgot who told me from Webster, and I said, fuck no. So they said, well, get your shit together and move into weapons. Oh, gosh, that's probably one of the happiest days I could recall.
But I'm sure you still had some painting and cleaning duties or other similar duties when you went to weapons.
Well, I mean, not to that extent, but, it just...
Different busy work.
Oh, yes. Yes, very much so. It just...
I mean, even if you look at like an SK or, somebody who worked in supply or whatever and dealt with laundry, you'd think, oh, that's an easy job. But when you get to do like 800 pounds of laundry, probably gets annoying to you too. You know what I mean?
Oh, exactly. Right? Exactly.
You're like, and that's the funny thing. Like, every job had its specialty, but it also had its annoyance, every job has a glamorous side to it. And then, when you actually see what leads up to it, it's not so glamorous. Well, that's the thing. We had to be trained. I mean, we get sent to firefighting school. and DC school, damage control school. We get sent to, different schools for different things. Like you probably went to Fork Truck Place or whatever, for weapons. Did they send you to any of the additional schools for the stuff you did?
I was an undesignated striker due to the program that when I first signed up joining the Navy.
So striker, to anybody who doesn't understand, that means you get to work on the ship for a while. It's like college at sea. It's really not that glamorous. And if you're lucky, if you're back, basically it comes down to politics. If they like the way you did your job in the place you didn't want to be in the first place, and you did a good enough job there, they probably don't want to let you go. And you want to go to the new place, and you got to get these people like you to let you come on over, like Red Rover, to the other side. And, not everything is easy to strike for. You can't just strike like radioman or cryptographer or something like that. But
no.
Certain things that involve a lot of physical work.
And how it was put to me so eloquently was, we're going to put you in weapons, and part of your contract states that, you keep your nose clean, don't fuck up for a year or your time on the boat. You'll go before a board, of chiefs, and then they'll review your disciplinary history and your history there, your work history with your division. And if your nose is clean, we'll recommend you for your A school that you're supposed to go to.
Right.
And now, you think that everything's going to happen so quickly. You're going to breeze through this. Not so fast, Charlie. I mean, you get that reality check real quick.
Yeah. Yeah. You just feel like you're the man showing up, right?
Oh, well, like you said, when I got to weapons, you find, what the pecking order is real quick.
Yeah.
And, and like I said, I didn't see the big picture when I first got there. And then, when it was about time for me to actually leave weapons, it was like a brotherhood, coming back from doing my time during the Gulf War, it was literally a brotherhood. I mean,
yeah, you get bonded in situations where if you risk your ass together and you survive, there's a bond that definitely comes through, and it's nothing you're going to find in the civilian world usually. I mean, maybe on a SWAT team or something. I don't know. Possibly, anything where there's that danger teamwork element, where you depend on each other, stuff like that. But, I just know that being in the Navy, you're a young man, you show up, you're at this huge giant ship. There's all these different people talking in a new language that you don't understand. And this ship's going to sail around the world. And you get to know some of the guys, and some of them aren't that bright. And you're like, geez, how are me and these guys going to get this boat around the world? But somehow it all works out. And you realize that those officers, those chiefs, those warrant officers are whipping your ass into shape for a reason, because they're trying to keep your, busy idling mind from, just landing on whatever,
It just, when I first got introduced to Gunner Stouch, and I was just like, this guy is always a mean bastard. I mean, he's always in a bad mood. I'm like, who pissed in this guy's Wheaties? But, I can understand, or I wouldn't even begin to understand how, what type of stress the guy was always under.
Well, he was just showing you how it is, man. I mean, this guy shows up and he's going to be like, he can't show you any weakness. That's right. He realizes if he's the nice, accommodating buddy guy, then you're going to go too far, and he's going to have to turn his head like Medusa on you one day and just turn you into stone. I mean, he's just like, hey, I'm setting the precedent. This is how it is. I've been through a lot of shit to get here, and you ain't getting by me without going through it yourself, right? And that was pretty common. That was how it worked. You got to show that you're, to get respect, you got to give respect. You got to earn it. It's not just granted. Some guys would get on there. They'd be a young guy. They'd have a good day. They do one good thing, and all of a sudden they're like, where's the rest of it?
Exactly.
Hey, I did a good day today. They're like, You got 365 more to do, buddy, before I even think about this.
Exactly.
So it was no easy come, easy go.
No, not with this guy.
So, I mean, now, San Francisco, California, did you think about ever coming back and living here or moving here, or were you always drawn back to Texas after you get out?
Well, gosh, even growing up, all I ever wanted to do, it's crazy to say this now, but growing up, all I ever wanted to do was to be in California.
Yeah.
And of course, you see all these, TV shows dealing with California. I was a big, classic music fan. I love the Beach Boys. I love listening to Mamas and Papas. The whole,
leaves are brown.
All the, just the whole '60s vibe. I was into. I dug it. And then when I was growing up, I remember telling my family that when I get older, I'm going to live in California. Of course, to them it was a pipe dream, and I said, no, if I ever get the opportunity to live in California, I'm going to.
Yeah.
And then joining the Navy, I found out I was going to go to California. Oh gosh, it was like a dream come true.
Yeah.
And then of course you're in apprenticeship training, and they said, oh, your ship's in San Francisco. And they were like, oh, I don't want to go to that city. And I said, I couldn't have picked a better place. I mean, to go to, because San Francisco was like my dream place to go to.
Oh, you've definitely had the experience.
But it just to soak in that whole vibe of the city. And then when I finally did go get a chance to go to Haight-Ashbury, oh gosh, it's like being transformed into that era. You just soak up the smells, the crowd. I mean, just seeing all different types of people it was eye opening, and it's just, the realization of a dream come true.
Yeah.
And it just made me real appreciative, of the opportunity I was given.
That's another byproduct of military services. You'll get to see places that you may have never got to see if you were, I don't know, you grew up in one little town in Ohio and you get a job at the, grocery store, and all of a sudden you became the manager and you kind of lived in that area. Maybe you went out to the lake. Maybe you went to Florida once, but would you really travel and see the world like the military? Probably not,
Exactly. And by no means did I have any illusions that, living there was going to be cheap, because, I would hear horror stories from other guys that had, there was 3-4 other guys sharing apartments, and, the rent was outrageous. And of course, I remember when me and a couple of guys on the boat, we rented a shitty 1-bedroom apartment in Oakland, and the rent was crazy.
Yeah.
And this was like 4 or 5 guys pitching in for a damn 1-bedroom apartment.
Well, yeah, in Texas, you can have your own place real easy. I mean, what it costs me to live here in California now, I could live like a big king, whatever, out there.
Yeah.
I mean,
I here in Lubbock, my home's 12 years old.
Yeah.
I've got a nice 1730 home, 4 bedrooms, 2 bath, 2-car garage.
Nice size house.
I purchased this house for $139.
Wow.
You
have a yard too, I guess.
Well, a real small yard, but it's in a nice neighborhood, and just I can just imagine what I'd be looking at in the San Francisco area.
Well, if you just even where I live, not even in the city, I live about 27 miles east, and I'll tell you where I live, that house is $800,000 to $900,000.
That's crazy.
That's crazy, huh? How much does it cost to rent a 1-bedroom where you live?
Oh gosh, maybe anywhere from, I say, high 6s to maybe 8 or 9.
Wow. High 6s to 8 or 9, like 800 or 900 a month. You probably get a fancy, nice big Olympic pool and all that, right? My guess.
Well, I mean, it all depends on what you're actually looking at here in this town. But I would say somewhere, depending on what type of apartment complexes you want. But I guess the closer that you are near to the university here in town, the better the accommodations, and you'd also find better looking pools too.
Oh yeah, it's probably caters to the kids coming in for school with the money. That's for sure. They get those student loans, and they just like, okay, there's a lot of parents send their kids to other states like Arizona or Texas because it's more cost effective. They can support them there. Like you send your kid to college here. My wife's finishing up college, and luckily because of my benefits, I probably saved $46,000. Right?
Wow.
So just, just to put somebody through school, what my wife went through would probably cost you 60, 70,000 when you factor in apartment costs and all that. And then people put that all on credit cards. It's just, it's not a nice story.
It's crazy. I mean,
that's like people look at college now, like, I don't know. I mean, I think when we were kids, you can go to college for 12 grand for 2 years or 24 for 4 years, something like that. It's six figures in all kinds of different places for a good degree.
Well, yeah, you're gonna mortgage everything down to your drawers.
Oh, it's true. I mean, I just had a good friend, veteran friend, and he got his VA benefits. I helped him. Now he's 100% permanent in total. He was in Fallujah. He was, an infantry, door kicking and shooting and all that other good stuff. And he just moved to Texas. And he's like, I'm moving there. He's there now. He's like by Dallas. And he's like, I'm buying a multi-unit place. I'm going to do this. My money goes so much further here. I go, you're totally right. Because he was living in California too. And his rent was probably for a 1-bedroom close to $2,400 after garbage and electricity and everything.
That's crazy.
Yeah, that's stupid. In San Leandro, dude. We're not talking San Francisco. And we're not talking Dublin, where I live, which is even nicer. So it's a nicer town. This is an average town, but it's considered luxury because average is luxurious. You know what I mean?
Right?
Yeah, it's not like, I don't know. It's not like everybody in this town went to Stanford or anything like that.
Right.
This is like a working man's town, but even the working man's town is expensive. But
right.
I don't know. I mean, what is it? How would you just describe in a nutshell that whole experience? Joining the Navy, coming to the city. When you look back at it, I mean, what are some of the key points that come to mind?
Oh gosh. Well, from boot camp, I mean, complete utter shock. I mean, culture shock.
Yeah.
And going to the Mount Hood, it's like, well,
you went to a second duty station after the Mount Hood, so.
Oh yes, I went to Mississippi, but that's a whole different. Whole different. Whatchamacallit, culture shock in itself, being in the South.
Oh yeah.
But with the Mount Hood, gosh,
California is more liberal. You're more accepted here, and the Mississippi is the deep, dirty South.
Right. Well, I could equate it to being in high school all over again. Starting from the bottom, and I don't know. I guess an adult high school. I mean,
well, you went to A school in Mississippi, right?
Mm-hmm. Yes, A school in Mississippi.
What A school did you go to eventually?
Yeoman.
So you struck weapons, but you ended up being a yeoman, and then you ended up in Cuba after that, huh?
Exactly.
So was that Cuba? Is that where they have all the Marine base in Cuba?
Oh yes, they've got their good contingency of Marines there.
So they've got their Marines and they've got that jail there.
Oh, of course, when I was there, they didn't have the detention camps there for Al Qaeda.
No, they didn't have that yet.
No, this was right before the Haitian refugees came to the island.
Okay, so you're this island. It's part of Cuba, or it's off of Cuba, or
no? It's part of Cuba. The whole base is surrounded by. I guess you would say by fence. It's got a DMZ around the whole damn.
It's the same base that you see with Jack Nicholson as when he's the Marine general. You can't handle the truth. That movie.
It's I guess you could. It's not to that extent, but I mean, they gave you a good descriptive picture of it.
Yeah,
but
I forget the name of that movie.
A Few Good Men.
Few Good Men. Yeah. So if you watch A Few Good Men, that's where you were living, kind of.
Kind of.
Yeah. What a trip. You went over there, and then you left there, and you came back to Texas.
Yes.
And
came back to Texas.
You said, I've had enough.
Well, you know, I can say it now. I was being stupid.
How many years did you have in?
A little over 3 years.
So you did a little over 3 years in the Navy?
Mm-hmm.
That's not bad.
It went by quick. I mean,
so did you get an early out because they shut down your command? Is that what happened?
Yes. I guess at the time, they were recommending all kinds of base closures.
Oh, they were in the downsizing era. Okay.
We were downsizing.
Yeah, we had the Cold War end. We're like, well, we're not going to have any war now. We get North Korea antagonizing, talking smack.
Yeah, and I would think, you know, being on a communist country, you know, it would make more sense to actually have actual birds, you know, stationed on the island.
Yeah, we kind of gave up some of our strategic, you know, attack points. We shut down bases everywhere. There's bases I used to go to as a kid in Europe. Like, oh, there's no need. The wall came down. Now, the wall's going back up now. You know what I mean? And now everyone else is getting like, America, you downsized. That's to think about too. I mean,
you know, kind of like when I read, I guess a year ago or a couple years ago, how, of course, the Philippine government, they did everything, you know, to get rid of us out of the Philippines. And then to read that,
you want me back? You want me back, don't you?
Yeah, it's going to cost you, what, $4 or $5 billion.
It's the old hustle, man. You know, we had a base in the Philippines. We had bases all over San Francisco. Guess what they are now? They look like an old movie set that used to have a cowboy movie on it with old buildings falling over. You know,
I mean, I just think it's a travesty. I mean,
it is. I mean, we feel like, of course, our only product is war. Now the world's become, you know, all about products, stuff that you buy. When you make war, it doesn't benefit the average person now, does it? But, you know, the military was in the Bay Area. They were the pre-.com era main financial support system of San Francisco because they're sailors. Sailors had one of the most employed jobs, not just sailors. There were soldiers. We had the Presidio. We had Treasure Island. We had Oakland Naval Supply Center, which wasn't highly manned. We had Oaknold Hospital. We had Moffett Field. We had, Vallejo, you know, Mare Island. We had Concord Naval Weapons Station. You know, there was a military presence all over. There was Oakland Army Base. Yeah. All that stuff's gone. It's all gone.
That's crazy. Yeah. And, you know, and when I log on to YouTube sometimes just to see what the old, Navy recruit, training, looks like. And it's nothing from what I remember.
No, it's certainly, it was a lot more hardcore. It was, we came through an era and, you know, there's guys that came before us that think what we went through was probably wimpy. You know what I mean?
Right.
I'm not trying to front and be the Billy Jack of the world. I'm a tough guy relatively, but still there's some guys that have endured worse than me. And I'm not going to pretend that, you know, I'm superseding anybody here, you know?
It's just, you know, for the life of me, I never understood why the hell would you close down San Diego and move it to Great Lakes? You know,
you're talking about the boot camps. Well, they may have to reactivate all these places, dude. I mean, what they've done, like you've seen these ships getting in wrecks lately. I have another podcast on that, but I've gotten more intel since then. They're talking about lack of sleep, too many hours. So you get sleep deprivation. You've got smaller crews per ship. So you've got a smaller watch team, you know? So that's why they run into these collisions. Now they're talking about, we'll give them more sleep. And I said, well, you're going to need more sailors is what you're going to need. So you're going to need more boot camps and you're going to need to keep it fully manned. And the biggest first line of defense in American arsenal is the military from the Navy. The Navy is the first thing that's the deterrent.
Well, one thing I remember from during Desert Storm, Desert Shield, before I would go on a watch, the other guys that I was relieving, they would say, first of all, bring some cash with you. Stop by a soda machine and get you 3 or 4 Cokes. If you smoke, bring 6 or 7 packs of cigarettes, a good lighter, and you're gonna man this post, and you're gonna keep your ass awake.
Yeah.
And you talk about literally chain smoking.
Falling asleep on watch is a treasonable offense. You know that. And it was in the olden days, before our time, it was punishable by death. Walk the plank.
And
you know that, right? I mean,
no, I didn't know that.
A lot of people don't know that. So you fall asleep on watch, you might as well you're going to captain's mess. You're going to jail, bro.
I just, I can't begin to describe the feeling that I would get knowing that I'd be on mine watch, and I think it was like an 8-hour watch, I think. Mm-hmm. And what would suck is at nighttime, of course, it would be so quick, easy to fall asleep. But of course, I remembered when being out the front, somebody would always have a damn jam box going.
Yeah.
As part of the effort to keep you awake. And I don't know who the hell was in charge of that jam box, but I got to hate Bad Company after a while because that's all I listened to.
Well, that's kind of like when I get out of the military and worked at a health club. There was a song I really liked. And then when I heard it 572 times over a course of 3 weeks, really began to resent that song.
Exactly. And after you drinking 4 or 5 sodas in a row, then they would start shoveling you with black coffee.
Yeah.
Black coffee.
High caffeine. I used to do a lot of push-ups on watch. I'd be roving because I'd doing a 360 watch on the signal bridge. I want to look for any and everything. And I would do pull-ups and push-ups. I'd grab a bar and just knock out pull-ups, knock out push-ups. I used it to work out, man. I got in shape.
And, just when you think you're starting to relax, and of course, being out there in the Gulf, sometimes it'd be so damn pitch black you can't even see your hand in front of you.
Right.
And then I would literally have somebody, whether it was from my division or some other division, they'd come up from behind me and said, "Sailor, I know you're not falling asleep."
Oh no, we would have watches on the watch, and you could get, you catch a guy who's sleeping, he's going to get punished.
And it would scare the hell out of me, And of course, they would give us those was it night vision goggles or vision
starlight scope?
So yeah,
green ones. Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah.
Oh, and the fucking headaches I would.
Or did you get the goggles that you wore? Those were infrared, I think. Those were IR.
Looking through them, everything was green.
Okay, that's a night vision scope. That's starlight scope. That goes off the resonant light. And then we had infrared goggles that were super bad. I actually put those on one night, and I looked through the big eyes, and I could see further, but through them. It was crazy. I matched them up with the big eyes because they had the little lenses on the front. So I was like looking like real far away and in the dark. I was like, that's a pretty cool thing. Like, I was like, why haven't they invented this? It was like today we'd call it a hack. Oh, I hacked it, but I should have actually brought that up.
And it was just
20x night vision. Go ahead.
Because it'd be crazy because, like I said, I think it was either a 4 or an 8-hour watch, but that's on top of, you working, I don't know how many ungodly amount of hours.
Right.
And it would get to the point sometimes where I'd start to hallucinate.
Right.
And, you're working so many damn long hours, and you're doing your job. I'd be down in the magazine hold. We're humping ammo, and I would start to see the floor move or the wall would move.
Right.
And and you think you're talking to your buddy, but you're not. You're having a conversation to yourself, and your buddies are like, "Man, who the hell are you talking to?" I said, "Dude, didn't you just say something to me?" And you're like, "Oh my God, I'm talking to myself." When was the last time you slept? I can't remember when was the last time I slept.
You see, I never get that bad off. Signalmen, we were expert lookouts, even beyond what you guys were doing, because we were looking for ships to identify them and communicate with them. So it kind of gave us a different motivation. When you're just looking passively, contact 040 starboard side. Okay. That's great.
Yeah.
But, we're seeing it before you because you've got regular binoculars. We have 20X binoculars that can read a license plate a mile away, or so it seems anyways. So yeah, when you're standing the passive watch, even if I put myself in your shoes, that would be, and those were what, 4-hour watches usually at night?
Either 4 or 8 hours. I could be wrong.
It was probably a 4-hour, 4 on, 4 off kind of deal. And then 8 hours of sleep and 8 hours of work.
Well, for us, we were constantly humping ammo.
Well, yeah,
right?
when you're humping ammo, then how did that work? I mean, what kind of watch shift did you run when we were doing unreps? Unrep is when we hook up to another ship, we shoot cranes across, lock on cruise control, and go for hundreds of miles passing ammo back and forth.
Well, we were down in a magazine humping ammo. Of course, you wouldn't even see us all damn day because we'd be in a magazine loading up with bombs.
Right.
But at the times that we did actually have some downtime, they'd say, "Well, you got 3 or 4 hours."
Right.
But I'd go stretches of maybe 2-3 weeks at a time without taking a shower.
Wow.
And to me, it was more important to get some sleep than to go take a shower or go right home to my girlfriend or write my mama.
Wow.
But I mean that after a while you get.
You're talking about Desert Storm unreps, because that was mega unrep. That was the unrep marathon of the century.
And it just like you said, it was unreps from hell.
No, it's back to back to back. The carrier needs new bombs. Boom. Hey, the battleship needs some ammunition. Hey, it's like they 24 hours though, they would burn out. You'd have to go do a whole new unrep every 24 hours.
Oh yeah.
You guys were balls to the wall. I mean, it's no wonder we get the Battle E. That was sacrifice,
I mean, there was times where we'd hump ammo all day, and then they would tell us, hit your racks and get some sleep. And just when you think you're starting to get some good sleep, they wake say, "Get your ass up. We got to go unload some more." I'm like, "Well,
yeah, it's funny. It's funny. What I realize now, talking to you, I had 8 on 8 off watch. I get plenty of sleep, right? But if we had GQ, general quarters, or we had fire drills, or we had other things during the day, or inspections, or other things, that would interfere with your watch. I mean, your sleep. I mean, you could sleep, but they'd still do some kind of inspection. I mean, you could sleep through anything back then. That's just how it worked. But I remember, at least they kept us, the signalmen, they kept us frosty because, we had to be alert, and you guys are humping that ammo. That's an extremely important job. But you'd wonder, like someone like me is getting more sleep than you. I come down, I'm like, why do these guys get attitude for? I don't know the hell that you've just been through. Right. And then you might see me one day. I'm grumpy because they had me chip and paint double time. They wanted to redo the whole signal bridge, and I was the only one available that day instead of 3 other people. Well, so you don't know why that guy's having a day. That's my point. Like, then you see the cook. Why is he pissed off? Because half the food was frozen and something or something. You don't know, but we would all have these attitudes. You're like, why is dude pissed off?
Well, you'd be interested to know that one of the things that we did to unwind was, of course, we'd have use of the fork trucks, right?
Yeah.
And of course, we'd be down in the magazine hole. Of course, we didn't have a first class. We didn't have a second class hanging around.
Yeah.
I think all we had was maybe a third class or two. But anyway, of course, they would be qualified to drive the fork truck.
Yeah.
and somehow we managed to confiscate these big old tubes of cardboard.
Yeah.
So we would have games of joust.
Joust. You're gonna blow off your steam somehow, but little did everybody know there was some jousting, some nightly games of the knights. You would make some make some lances with the cardboard tubes.
And of course, we'd stand behind whoever was driving on the fork truck, and we try to knock each other off. And of course, the rule would be, if you get knocked down and you hurt yourself, what was all the saying that went around? You fell down the ladder back.
Oh yeah.
What happens here stays here. You don't tell the first class or whoever that you were doing something stupid like that. But we would have games like that, and I don't know if you remember this, but we had a guy from weapons. He had his foot crushed.
Yeah.
He had his foot crushed, and I think his name was Massey. I think he had his foot broken too.
I remember Massey.
And
he was the blonde kid. He was the wrestler.
Yes.
Yep.
Yes. And I had my the front part of my toes squashed by a fork truck.
Oh my gosh!
The only thing that saved me from having my foot totally messed up was my steel toe boots.
Oh, boondockers! Yep. That's why we had a steel toe, because they figured somebody was jousting.
Well, when I think all those incidences happened maybe within a week or two of each other, all back to back. Right. I think it was even the captain came down. The captain and the gunner, they came down, chewed our asses out about why we were fucking off, doing stupid shit.
Yeah.
And of course, I think we went a day or two without doing any pumping ammo, because we had to have a safety, I guess, talk or whatever from the captain and the gunner.
Yeah.
Because, they were telling us basically to quit fucking off and doing stupid shit like that. But, of course, they didn't want to hear that we're doing this shit just to blow steam off.
No, but it made you want to do it more. Everything was about right. Forbidden. Just make something forbidden. If they said, hey, listen, sailors, I don't want to see anybody doing any illegal knitting, no sweater making on the ship.
Yeah.
You'd find some guy like, yeah, man, dude, I got some yarn. I'm going to do it tonight. I better not get busted.
Yeah. Well, at the time,
I'm joking, but you know what I mean.
When that other guy in our division got his foot crushed, I thought that was horrific. Well, I seem to recall, I think during that time period, somebody getting a line breaking and someone got their leg broke.
Yeah.
Somebody. I think
they might have got their leg ripped off, possibly from a line snapping.
They said the line snapped, and on the whip back.
Yeah, you remember those safety movies they show us? Like if the line breaks, even like especially in deck, those ropes, they can rip your leg. They can cut you in half.
Well, oh gosh, I think when we came back from the Gulf that day that we pulled into Concord.
Yeah.
I think it was then, or it might have been another small cruise that we took. Anyway, one of the lines snapped.
Oh wow!
And of course, we were just standing around, and of course, the guys from deck, because they were manning those lines back where the helipad was. Right. Well, one of those damn lines snapped, and I shit you not. The sound that it makes, you'll never forget it. And I guess it was either a chief or maybe a senior chief. They tackled a couple of us, and we hit the ground. And when you heard that sound, oh my God! Then we got our asses chewed out by the chiefs, and they were saying, when we're throwing out lines, now's not the time to be loafing off, because if somebody would have been near that line, their leg would have snapped in two, or their leg would have been
or their torso.
They would just,
yeah, the force that it generates, it's deadly.
you know, and I'll never forget that sound. It's crazy. You know, it's, you know, you think everything's fun and games when you're young. You know, I'm 10 foot tall and bulletproof,
right.
But when shit like that happens, it's a reality check.
Well, that's the military. You realize you're in a serious job. You're trying to make light of it and be be a silly young boy and have fun with your comrades, you know, your associates, and, you know, well, we didn't call each other comrades back then. That was kind of illegal, right? It's eased its way into American society a little more, but really, your fellow sailors. Yeah, it's actually, looking at it now, you know, I think, man, you're trying to make fun and have fun, but the truth is that everything you're doing is deadly dangerous. Right. It's no joke. It's grown up. It's big boy time. And that's why they have strict, screaming, mean guys that are just on you. And what they do is they have redundancy. They have a guy watching the guy, watching the guy, watching the guy. Because just one guy or gal can totally screw the pooch on this situation. You know? Right. So you had a chief watching the LPO, and the LPO watching the junior petty officers, and the junior petty officers really watching the knuckleheads that are just below them. You know, it was one big circuit. Well, and that was the military management model, because people would do idiotic, childish, immature things. They did not want to let any of that slip, man.
Well, you know, now that we're talking about unreps, one story that I wanted to tell you was, I forget what ship we were going to unrep with, but of course, you know, the gunner's mate has to shoot the line over, right? Well, I guess for us lower grade schmucks, everybody would be given the opportunity to shoot the line across the first line.
Right.
Well, I guess Rayumi, I think you remember him, but he was given the opportunity to shoot the line across. Mm-hmm. Well, you know, of course, you're supposed to signal to the other ship, you know, when the guy's about to shoot the line across.
Do we have a whistle or some kind of MC or something that announces it?
Yes. And he gives the other people on the other side, on the other ship.
Duck, we're shooting the line across, right?
Yes. So Rayumi shoots his line across, and there was a young kid that didn't duck.
Oops.
Well, it's like a rubber mallet coming out of that rifle.
I thought it was a plunger the whole time, but it's a rubber mallet. It looked like a plunger from the signal bridge. I thought you guys were shooting a plunger from the toilet.
Well, it makes a sound when it bounces off the bulkhead, but you got to figure it's going at an incredible amount of speed.
Right.
So when it bounces off the bulkhead, you know, it's a pretty, deadly object.
This happens just to give some air on you. I'm not going to let you go back to it, but just so people understand, unreps, when we line up with another ship, we have to shoot lines out of a rifle with that plunger like you're talking about, so we can tow a rope that's tied to the steel cables and link them up on the cranes from ship to ship to transfer ammunition. Or fuel's done the same way, or supplies too. Right? So that's what it's done for. But go on.
So that mallet or whatever bounces off a bulkhead and hits this kid. I shit you not. I mean, this kid, I don't know what the hell he's thinking, but it hits him square on the head. And you would have thought the guy got shot.
Right.
He falls. You know, you could tell people on his boat, they ran to him, and you know, people were scrambling.
Did he have a safety helmet on at least?
He didn't have a helmet.
Oh gosh, you're supposed to have a helmet on all the time. Hard hat.
Well, Rayumi, he's seen this whole thing transpire, and you know, for a white guy, this guy lost the color in his face. You thought he saw the devil himself.
He thought he was going to captain's punishment.
Well, he thought
dungeon.
He thought he killed the guy.
Yeah.
I mean, of course, everybody else, we thought it was funny. I mean, on our side, we thought it was funny. We're just like, holy
It's
shit.
funny until proven otherwise.
I mean, like I said, we were laughing. I think it was either it was the chief or the first class, or might have been Gunny. But they were like, this ain't a fucking laughing matter. Something's wrong over there. And come to find out, the guy received a concussion. He was lights out. But
wow, he saw combat. Yeah. I know I'm being sarcastic, but that sucks. I would hate to say, well, this one time in the Navy, I got shot in the head with a rubber mallet from another ship. It was combat, I tell you. No, but I mean, poor guy. That sucks.
But it's just the look on Rayumi's face. I mean, the guy was shaking. I mean, I hate to say it, but he wasn't right for a good while after that, because he was just like, man, I thought I killed him. And I'm just like, the way that dude dropped, you thought he did get shot. I mean, it's one of them funny stories that, you can file away in your Navy time there.
Sometimes I get off, I'll do a conversation. There's so many details. Like, you have a nutshell story of your life in the military. For me, it was 6 years of my life. 1 year felt like it was more boring, but it was actually really interesting. I haven't gone into that yet. I'll do that on another episode or something, but I get in a motorcycle wreck and I ended up working at a Navy hospital, and I ended up in the mail room, and I found out that was the job I would never want for the rest of my life. I would hate that job. And, I thought it was going to be a skate. Skate means easy, slide on by, not work too hard kind of job. Right. And, just didn't really dig the guys I worked with every day. I think I had a cool guy that I worked with one time, but he left, and then another guy that was a bit of a jerk moved in. I don't know. It was a bunch of shit, and I was getting out, but I went to EMT school. I became a teacher for basic life support and EMT training. I learned all this stuff. I was like, I need a civilian job when I get out, Never ended up doing either. But, it was an interesting year of shore duty. It was like, I don't know if I'd missed the ship or not. But every year, first I had a really tight crew, and then my friends started going different places. We're still friends today. We're still tight today. But, my close friends, Greg DeBordy, went to Indiana. My other friend, John Perkins from Beck. You probably remember Perkins.
The name sounds
He was from Louisiana.
Perkins.
John Perkins.
As I recall, did Perkins have blonde curly hair?
Yeah. Kind of tall dude, buff dude. He was a cool guy, nice guy. He went back to Louisiana, and then my other friend, Sonny Bliss, got out earlier than both of us, just before Desert Storm. And now he lives kind of close to me in Stockton. Not super close, 54 miles away. But wow. Yeah, so there's if you listen to the last podcast, that's Sonny. We're still friends 30 years later. But as I stayed on the ship, it kind of dissipated, it just kind of flew away, like time kind of pulled back, you know what I mean? And every year that core, that bond, that group of your buddies, like I get married, they got married, everybody kind of get pulled in different directions. And that mojo kind of like whittled down, you know what I mean? And it was weird. So towards the end, of 6 years, I get out on a medical discharge from the motorcycle wreck. I hadn't even thought past the 6 years. I figured I was getting out. I wasn't ready to go, I'm going to go in sales. I'm going to get rich. I'm going to do something. I didn't know what I was going to do. I didn't have a good plan.
Yeah, I think it was like that for me too. I mean, I just, you think you're going to have a plan, but when it comes to it, you just, I don't know. It's just a totally different, unsettling experience.
It was rough. How long, you getting out of the military, how long was it for you to transition into civilian world? What was that like?
Well, I when I got out, I went basically a whole year without having a job. Yeah. I think I blew through all my savings that I happened to do the years before, and all I did was drink.
Yeah.
And get into one trouble after another. And,
yeah, you get lost when you're away from your group, your tribe.
And, it's just, like you said, it's an overwhelming sense of loss. I mean,
yeah, it's weird to be reconnected after all these years, isn't it?
Well, I've got a story for you. I mean, it's kind of way off base, but you would never think of of this certain individual. It has to do with the EXO.
Okay, the EXO.
Yeah, this would be the EXO under Commander Westman.
Okay, yeah.
And well, this is not too long after I got into the ship's office.
Wasn't he from like New England, Boston? EXO.
He wore glasses, like dark glasses. Okay. And well, anyway, I was in the ship's office, and of course, a buddy of mine had given me of course, we're floppy disk. This is around the floppy disk.
Oh yeah, we're coming up in the computer world back then. Yeah.
So he had given me a floppy disk that had a poker game.
Oh.
With each hand that you won at poker, there was a female.
Oh, there's a good old strip joint game, the strip poker game. Yeah.
Yes. And of course, I was no good at poker, so it took me a long time just to get that person on the screen to start taking the clothes
naked
off.
Cartoon character.
Yeah. So I think it might have been a day that I had duty, so I couldn't get off the boat. But anyway,
yeah, that was like an all day thing to do there. Yeah.
I'm in the ship's office. The lights are out, and I'm thinking, who the hell's going to see me? So I'm playing my game, and lo and behold, I didn't hear this. I didn't hear the EXO come in.
EXO came in with some ninja-like precision, walking on socks or something.
He was like, "Seaman Ortega, what in the hell are you doing?" I just about shit on myself. And he was like, "What, young man? You're not. This is not authorized. This is government property. Blah blah blah." He read me the riot act. He said, "I'm going to confiscate your this disc, and then we'll talk about possible repercussions later."
Yeah.
And I was just like,
oh shit.
I'm yeah, exactly.
Shit.
I'm
oh shit, got me.
Well, about a week or two goes by, and he hasn't said shit to me. And what the hell's going on? Well, I had to go do something at the office late at night, so I walk into the office. Well, I catch him playing the damn game. And he looks at me, and I said, "Well, what the hell are you doing?"
Yeah.
He said, "Mr. Ortega, you don't talk to me like that. I'm your executive officer." And I was like, "Well, forgive me, but sir, what are you doing in this office?" Of course, he came up with some bullshit excuse of why he was in there. And I said, "Well, I thought, you can't be, playing this game on government, on a government computer." Well, of course, he gave me some BS excuse. And I said, "Well, sir, since this is not authorized, why are you playing it?" And, of course, he was struggling for an answer. And he said, "Well, Mr. Ortega,
I'm fucking bored, dude."
Yeah, basically. So he says, I'm gonna hold this disc for you, and we're not gonna say anything about it. This is just gonna be between me and you." And I said, "Sir, well, who's really doing who a favor?"
Oh, jeez.
So he looks at me and says, "Mr. Ortega," he said, "you can't blackmail me." I said, "Sir, blackmail's a nasty word. I'm not saying it's blackmail." I said, "All that I would ask of you, you can keep the disc as long as you want to. I would like to play the game eventually here and there." I said, "But for future reference, I would like your assistance on whatever I would possibly need." He said, "You mean whenever you start fucking up again?" And I said, "Yes, sir. In so many words, yes. I would need your guidance." So, we kind of had an agreement.
You got a little contract, a little barter.
But I mean, it paid off.
Oh, you used entrapment, computer porn. It wasn't even full computer porn. It was cartoon Well, maybe that was the beginning of anime. Who knows? That was a Commodore 64, wasn't it? Or what kind of computer?
I believe so. And
because we had that game in high school. I know about this game.
And I mean, of course, amongst today's standards, I mean, it's a cheesy game.
Oh, dude, it's like big square bits. It was not refined graphics. What were you going to see? It was your imagination that was doing all the work. You were just chasing the carrot. You were just the horse running around, chasing the carrot, running around the park.
and it was because of that experience, I got to actually, got to actually know and talk to the XO a good deal. And, he was always quick to tell me, or ask me, Ortega, have you told anybody about this game? I said, no, sir. He said, so nobody knows that you play this game. I said, sir, I didn't have that game that long enough to even get the hang of the game. and I was with him that day that he found that crack pipe in the bosun's locker, the paint locker. And the look on his face, I mean, was just he literally, he was at a loss for words.
Did he know what it was though? Because crack, I didn't know what crack looked like, man. I don't know how he would know what it was. I don't know.
Well, I mean, he knew it was a pipe for smoking.
So somebody had that pipe there on the ship, though. He knew it was paraphernalia of something.
And then I think another time, I think either it was in weapons berthing, or the weapons bathroom, or deck berthing bathroom, that somebody had a stash of empty 40 bottles.
Oh, wow. So he would catch some of that stuff. I mean, after a while, it's your ship. You know where to look for the contraband. I mean, people were just trying to get away with something because they were dealing with two things: stress and monotony and boredom. 3 things, and that's what you dealt with, and nowhere to go, no freedom, no liberty. You knew that you were going to see 3, 4, 5, 6, 8, 9 weeks with no land easily.
And there'd be times where I don't know. I think the XO he'd wanted to blow off some steam, and I would have to hear him bitch about shit.
Oh, you became his little buddy. No wonder you became a yeoman, because you're like that guy.
It just, it was crazy. You hear the saying, politics make strange bedfellows. Right. And it was just, I couldn't believe that I was talking to that man on a regular basis.
Well, there was a guy that I had a good friendship with. I think it was, I don't know, was the XO a big guy?
Oh no, this individual.
No, it's a different XO. Well, this was either, I got to think what his position was. He was from Boston. He was an upper officer, and he and I would talk because he'd come to Signal Bridge. And we would talk about the war because I had BBC. So we'd have the radio intel, but BBC would be getting other sources, right? So you get what you get in secret comms, top secret comms, and then you'd get, BBC. Shortwave radio is what I was using out there. So I was picking up the news and listening to the whole thing play out like a ball game while we were out there in the Gulf. And kind of gave you an idea what was transpiring, The other guys are like, we just did an unrep. I don't know what's happening. And then everything else was just scuttlebutt, which is slang for gossip in Navy talk. Mm-hmm. But yeah, it was interesting how that worked. But I'll tell you what, you have a podcast coming out probably another week, a week or two from now, because I have several podcasts. I have one of your fellow gunners mates, Hillebrand. I did a podcast with him the other day. And I have a podcast with SM2 Dalton. That's in the can too. And we get this one. We have this one and we have yours. So the next one that's going to be released is one of those 3. This one I'm going to release tomorrow, which is going to be Saturday when you're listening to this, people. I'm not putting a lot of promotion. I'm going to see how many people log in because it was supposed to come out on Friday. I was supposed to hit Friday, but my other associate, shipmate, BM3 Teresi, was a little under the weather, so I'm glad you were able to fill in.
Oh, no problem. I mean, like I said, brother, I've got tons of stories still. I mean, you think, you're going into this podcast thinking that, well, I can talk about this and this and that. And, and after in the middle of talking about stuff, you get lost or sidetracked.
Right.
And I was like, I barely even touched the surface.
Well, yeah, because it's where your memory pulls you, It's where your memory is like we remember nuggets of the certain highlights, but then we have to dig for the specifics and the details.
And I was telling some buddies of mine at work, I said, dude, I literally got lost, track of time from that first podcast that we did together. And he said, dude, weren't you tired? I said, it was refreshing. I mean, it's, almost like coming home, you're so glad to talk about, your past experiences. I was just like, I literally wasn't that tired, but once, we got off the air and I got settled back in, into my routine here at my home, I was exhausted, and I was just like, it to me felt therapeutic. And I was just like, if this is what they call therapy, sign me up. I'd be more than happy.
Well, the podcast is supposed to be therapeutic because it's really good for people. A lot of people from our ship have some form or shape of PTSD, and they have found, and myself included, they found that that talking with your shipmates, people that you can relate to that understand the same culture, it's like that's what they do at the VA. They have you go do a therapy group with other veterans. But I mean, here we're not whining and complaining about our life, but just a good conversation is pretty healthy, And
to me, go ahead.
And, I'm here to help other veterans. Maybe bringing on some advocates and people that can, help people with their benefits if they've had trouble in the past. A lot of people don't know about what they need and what they deserve. I'm trying to get the C story. I could probably spend 20 podcasts just talking about the VA podcast, but I don't want to make that the center. I want this to be your biography and your life experience mostly, but I will mention it. And I will have this one cat on here, who does a lot of this stuff. I'll see. There's a few people. There's Steve Epley who does a lot of this stuff. And there's, Mind Doc. She was on the ship and she became a lawyer. And there's another VA attorney guy who's really excellent to help my friends. So I'm just going to see, go on.
I remember Mind Doc and Kraus, they of course, we used to smoke a lot of cigarettes back at the Fantail at the time. But they were one of the few shipmates there in the beginning when I first got there. They actually took the time to talk to me. And Mind Doc's
very personable, very open.
Oh yes, very, very much so. And I just want to reiterate, I'm so glad that I found you in this podcast.
Same here,
because it's just it's I don't know, it's kind of like opening up my eyes to something totally different. It feels great to talk about stuff like this. I've literally gone a couple decades not. You
go through a weird period where you suppress your military experience, and I did too, and other people have too.
And it's refreshing to get to talk to somebody about it. And like I said, I've only scratched the surface. I mean, I've got tons of stuff I'd be more than happy to share with you and the other podcast listeners.
Oh, for sure. Well, definitely if the other, maybe we'll alternate with you and Dave and see what we can do. But we're at 99 minutes for the Friday cast. I want to get this thing wrapped up, but I really appreciate you helping me out with this podcast.
Oh, no problem.
Everybody enjoyed listening. It's the end of the week. We're both winding down from some busy stuff, but, catch us on the morning when we drank 12 cups of coffee.
Yes, sir. Yes,
okay,
sir.
Guys. Well, thank you for listening. Like us on Facebook at AEC Stories. Please subscribe to AEC Stories at aecstories.podbean.com. I need more subscribers. And please put any nice review that you can on Facebook because it helps us move up the ranks. right now we've got thousands of downloads, but I'd like to see in the tens of thousands. That would be really exciting because you know what? There's a lot of other people on other ships, other, divisions of the military and squadrons and so forth that, probably will enjoy this, or people that are fans of military, fans of, military brats, military wives, people that grew up around it. I'm sure this is something that you'll enjoy listening. So please share and like it with your friends and have a great weekend.